NBA contenders and pretenders, a concept as old as time. But today we're going to be focusing on the Wild Wild West. It is a stacked conference this year, as it always is. But today we have teams like the Young and Rising Thunder, a team that's trying to get back on top of the mountain like the Nuggets. And of course, the King LeBron James has a new jester. Where do they sit? Let me know in the comments your predictions. But let's get it, man. The Wild Wild West. Who's a contender? Who's a pretender? On your screen is what I perceive to be the 14 best teams in the league today. Could the Kings be here? Could the Orlando Magic or the Atlanta Hawks be here? Absolutely. But I look at these 14 teams and I say, if some things go right, or hey, they're just that dominant, they have a shot in the playoffs to make some things happen. Now, I have a lot of numbers here, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and it is only based on these 14 teams. So don't include playing teams, don't include the Wizards, right, or the Brooklyn Nets. The numbers I'm going to show you are based on 1 to 14, and it's on these 14 teams here. Now, again, the numbers are not a reflection on what your future holds, but it is a reflection of your recent production. So that's why I kind of like to look at them. It is not a deciding factor, but it is, again, some things are good to look at when you compare some of these top teams in the NBA. Now, for the Oklahoma City Thunder, we'll keep this one quick and to the point. You see on your screen, they are top 5 in every single metric. When you see the bold green, that means they're number 1. So they have the best defense, home record, away record, and record against teams with a 500 and above record. So basically playoff teams. The Thunder are dominant. They have the superstar player. They have the depth. And they've done all of this with stretches of the year with Caruso missing time. Jalen Williams is currently missing time. And they're still winning games on the road like they did last night against the Clippers. And then you have Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. Some of their key players outside of the maybe the MVP of the league and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they've missed time, and Shai has kept this team afloat. They've been dominant on top of the best conference in the league. No doubt about it, the Oklahoma City Thunder check all the boxes. They're contenders in my book. Now, I would say that a lot of us expected a jump here as far as the win-loss column for the Houston Rockets going into this past season. But the Houston Rockets haven't done it by their offense. This is a team that has the 11th out of them, again, the best 14 teams. They have one of the worst offenses, let's just say that. But their defense is where they lay their hard hat. They have a top 5 defense out of those teams I showed you guys earlier. And outside of that, that is what's been carrying them to being a top 2 seed in the Western Conference. They don't have that superstar level player, not yet at least, right? Jalen Green and Sengun will get there one day, just not yet. So right now they're doing all of this as a collective unit, a collective effort, and by great coaching. Credits to Ime Udoka. To me, they don't have that playoff experience. They don't have that big game experience in the playoffs against, well, let's say some of the top dogs in the West. So to me, I think they're a good team. Their defense is going to keep them in games in every series they're in the playoffs. But with that inexperience, without that superstar level player, I don't think that they're going to be able to go through, let's say, 2 to 3 teams in the Western Conference and then go win a championship like I could see the Thunder doing because they had that experience last year. The Rockets, look, they've had a great season. It is a definitely step in the right direction. But as far as competing for a championship this year, I think they're a pretender. The Denver Nuggets are trying to get back to mile-high status. And yes, that pun is intended. It was a terrible one, by the way. But regardless, the Denver Nuggets, I've stated this all season. They remind me of the 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers, where in 2018, the Cavaliers, of course, that is the maybe best season that LeBron has ever put out. He didn't have much around him. It was Superman elevating these subpar players around him to elevated statuses. And that's why the Cavaliers were able to go to the finals. Ultimately, again, got swept. The Nuggets this year, they have a better surrounding core and better surrounding pieces than what the Cavaliers did in 2018. And that's why they have a higher ceiling than what my Cavaliers did back then. But for this team, it doesn't feel like it at times. With the inconsistencies of Jamal Murray, with Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, the inconsistencies offensively around their superstar player in Nikola Jokic is what makes them feel like a 2018 Cavaliers team. But on your screen, you see they have a top 2 pace in the league. They have a top 3 offense in the league, or at least as far as the teams that I showed you guys earlier. So the offense is great, but that's only when Jokic is on the court. When you look at the on-off numbers, there's a reason why Nikola Jokic should be the MVP in this year, in the 2025 season. It's because of the fact that when he steps off the court, there is a threat and a danger that this team is down 8 to 10 points just like that. So for the Nuggets, they have Superman, but can they get enough around him in the playoffs? I'm not so sure. It doesn't look, and there's not the same vibe around this team like there was 2 years ago. Jokic might just do it all by himself, and this team might just raise the Larry O'Brien a couple months down the line. But as of right now, I'm going to say that they don't have enough consistency around Jokic when he takes a step off the court, and I don't think he's going to play 45 minutes a night. So for those reasons, unfortunately, the Nuggets are pretenders. The LA Lakers are getting healthy and at the right time. LeBron James recently returned, and hey, that injury that LeBron had is probably a blessing in disguise because Reeves has now had more confidence added to his well, I guess he's added some more confidence in that LeBron tenure where he was off with injury. So this LA Lakers team is now fully healthy. They're hitting their stride, and they're going into a loaded Western Conference where they're going to need LeBron to be healthy. They're going to need him to have fresh legs in these series because I've talked about it on this channel a lot. Last year, I raved about the Mavericks. I said they were one center away from making a finals run, and that's documented. You can go and fact check me. And it was a crazy take at the time, but I thought the Mavericks had a legitimate shot to come out of the Western Conference. And hey, they got a center. They went far. That's how much I've raved about Luka Doncic. That's how much I've praised him on this channel. So for the sole fact that whether if they're healthy or not, if they have Luka Doncic with this core around him, they are finals contenders. But the fact that you add in a healthy LeBron that's going to have fresh legs going into a playoff run that may be his last chance at a legitimate fifth NBA championship, he's motivated, ladies and gentlemen. He is maybe the best three-point shooter of his career. LeBron James is coming back to a team where he doesn't have to be Superman on a nightly basis. This LA Lakers team is fun. They're intriguing. I believe in their coaching staff because he's adjusting. JJ Redick, of course, is adjusting in game, which is something we haven't seen with this Lakers club throughout previous years. I believe that despite their early season struggles, it is a completely different team because of 77 is now in the mix. I will say the X factor of this team is Austin Reeves and Jackson Hayes. Regardless, this team has a core of players that can carry the load on any given night. I like the LA Lakers, the superstar, the depth, the talent, the defense, the coaching staff. They're contenders in the Western Conference. Now, if you were on this channel be in the preseason, I maybe didn't talk about any other team more than the Memphis Grizzlies because I said they were one piece away, whether if that was a Jimmy Butler level player or if you want to stoop down a couple levels to a Cam Johnson. I said that if they were able to pick up a talented wing, they were going to be, in my eyes, NBA title contenders. But with them not doing anything at the deadline, seemingly, right? I know they tried to make a move for Jimmy Butler, and it wasn't their fault that Jimmy had no interest. But for the Memphis Grizzlies, without an addition of a certain, I guess, elevated player at the deadline, I don't think their ceiling has raised any more than what it was in the preseason. So to me, again, they play very fast. You see the number one pace out of those teams I showed you guys earlier, but overall number one in the league. A top two offense there out of the teams I showed you earlier. But the thing that is going to be the Achilles heel of this team is their defense. It is the worst out of the teams I showed you earlier, but I believe it's like 26th in the league. So they are just outright terrible on that side of the court. And sure, they've had injuries this year. Jaren has missed some time. Ja has missed some time. Also didn't play a lot of back-to-backs. And overall, they've had a lot of injuries despite being a top 4 to 5 seed in the Western Conference. But this defense is horrendous, and it doesn't look like it's changing since this team has been healthy on the second half of the year. I think that's going to be their Achilles heel. You see also there that their record against other playoff teams is bottom 3 out of those top 14 I showed you. They cannot win the big-time game, despite maybe great performances from Jaren or Ja or collectively. Memphis worries me, and without that addition of a Cam or Jimmy Butler at the deadline, they're still pretenders in my eyes here in the Western Conference. The Golden State Warriors are looking to add another golden trophy to their resume and, of course, their, trophy locker. But for this team, look, it is a completely different story, just like the Lakers from the early season to post a trade deadline because they brought in Jimmy Butler. This is a team that with Jimmy Butler has looked dangerous. They've looked really good. And at the midseason mark, when they made that trade, I said they were going to be the hottest team in basketball to close out the year. Now, the Thunder are still going to have that in their possession, but the Warriors are definitely going to be a top three team as far as how great they look closing out this season. Steph Curry is going to be back pretty soon from that pelvic injury. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, when this core is healthy, they've looked the best they have all year if defensively, and honestly, the best they've looked in years defensively. And the offense is just a lot easier for Steph Curry. He doesn't have 3 to 4 bodies on him every single time he touches the ball, because Moses Moody has taken a step up. AirPods has been a little bit more consistent. Overall, though, has taken a step up offensively as far as his spacing ability. We know they got Buddy Hield. We know, of course, Quentin Post has actually been a surprising addition to being able to stretch the floor offensively. They have more floor spacing ability with this team than maybe they have had in recent years. But also when it comes down to the playoffs, they have a guy outside of Stephen Curry that can carry an offensive load, that can turn up the intensity, guard the other team's best player, and maybe close out the game at the same time. This team, for the sole fact that I'm going to believe in the fallacy of playoff Jimmy, I'm going to believe in the fact that Steph Curry wants another ring to his resume, I'm going to say they're contenders. I believe with their experience, with their mentality, with the fact that they know what it takes, and having all three of these guys on your screen know what it takes to carry a team to the finals, they have everything that you would want to see. But can they get it done? Can they get a favorable matchup and a road there? That's a different story. But the Warriors, with the fact that they're hot, they check all the boxes, they're contenders in my book. Minnesota shocked the world, I guess, a little bit last year as they made it to the Western Conference Finals, knocking off the Suns, knocking off the Nuggets, and they made a great run, a run that this franchise hasn't seen in years. But that wasn't good enough. We need to make a change despite making a historical franchise run. And they traded away Karl Anthony Towns. And what did they trade him for? Well, not a player that does the same exact thing. They traded him for a completely different mold and style of player in Julius Randle. Look, this Timberwolves team as of late, as of the month of March, has turned it around. They've looked the best that they have offensively all season long, but this is a team that is too ant reliant. I don't trust Julius Randle to step up in those big time playoff games. He might win one game a series, but I don't believe that he has the capabilities to actually legitimately spell an Anthony Edwards if he's having an off night or an off series. So with that fact, with the fact that Anthony Edwards is going to be a one-man band Superman on a nightly basis, it makes them very one note. It makes them very easy to defend, if you guys understand what I'm putting down. So for those reasons, the Minnesota Timberwolves, sure, Anthony Edwards has been one of the greatest young playoff performers in NBA history, as crazy as that might sound. But I just don't think that they are contenders after losing a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who added much needed spacing and offensive scoring versatility to this team. They don't have that versatility anymore. Julius Randle is a very skilled bully. He's going to have that DeMar DeRozan effect on this team where, sure, he dominates the mid-range, dominates the post, and the interior, but he doesn't bring that spacing around Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards that they once had. And for those reasons, again, they are pretenders this year in the Western Conference. Now, a team that has looked they've been very fun to watch recently with the LA Clippers. That's because the emergence of a James Harden, or I guess resurgence, let's say that, right? The resurgence of a Kawhi Leonard, who against my Cavaliers had like 35 the other night. He always kills my Cavaliers. But with Norman Powell having a most improved level season out of nowhere, seemingly, you got Zubac, who's giving you a double-double every single night. This team has a lot of intriguing and solid pieces with maybe a top 3 coach in the league in Tyronn Lue. They make adjustments. They are defensive oriented, as you see, as they're one of the 3 best defenses at that of the top 14 teams in the league. And the thing that worries me about this team is their offense and their availability, right? We know the history of Kawhi Leonard. We know it's well documented. He might show up. He might not be there in those big time games and moments. If he's on the court and he's healthy, and God forbid he is, they're going to be a sneaky first-round upset team, right? Against the Nuggets, against maybe a young Rockets team. They might be able to pull out an upset in the first round. But if they're not healthy, well, all chances pretty much go out the window. But for James Harden, it's great to see him work. But outside of James Harden, this offense is the worst out of the 14 teams I showed you. And that includes the Bucks. That includes teams like the Detroit Pistons. Those teams have better offenses than the LA Clippers, again, according to the numbers. The Clippers, if their defense is there and they're healthy, they're going to have a chance in every game. But can the offense prevail? That's the big question. But for me, the Pretenders still in my books. So very quick and to the point episode today, but today was just focusing on the Western Conference. You see a green strip, I think they're Contenders. Red, they are Pretenders. So again, stick with me if I mispronounce any of those in today's video. But if you want to see the Eastern Conference, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments. Most importantly, if you want to see the East, I will pump that out tomorrow if you guys want to see it.